This idea of deep, focused work is very important. I was reading Cal Newport's Slow Productivity, and the first key is to do less. Don't spread yourself too thin, because we become overly ambitious about all the things we could do. When someone asked Buddha, what should I do, this or that, or this or that, he said, do one thing and leave those other things for the next lifetime. And as some business gurus say, focus on one thing until you're successful in that, and then move on to the next thing. Whereas we have all of our eggs in so many different baskets, we're spread so thin, it's hard to really accomplish anything. It's the same is true energetically, as physically, as time-wise. So sitting in quiet meditation, which is already unusual, honing in on the next steps for your life, and then committing to those and moving tangibly toward those, essentially nothing can stop you. The only thing that can stop you is 3 feet in, you're like, oh, there's this other thing. Oh, that thing might be cool. Oh, there's this other thing. In the entrepreneurial world, that's the shiny object syndrome. You keep, this thing would be better. This thing would be better. This approach would be better. So we never really fully try the thing we started out to do. For me too, it's like I was an artist for many years. And the reason I stopped doing that was because I wasn't fully being expressed. There were other things I needed to do. I was a writer for some other years. I was a graphic designer for some other years. Spread fairly thin. Now, I believe if I would have just continued with the art thing, I would be resoundingly successful. And I'm not regretting. That's a life lesson learned, and I got to learn all these other things. And I always made art with a healing impulse, so there's this facilitating of healing thing that I do as well. So I recommend that book, Slow Productivity, as well as Cal Newport's other works, Digital Minimalism, World Without Email. It's almost like the world wants to hijack consciousness so we no longer have deep, profound awareness of what's going on around. There's like these devices now, and they're just a litany of distractions. And people are hooked to them for one reason, and every time someone goes to the restroom, there's 10 minutes wasted. So I don't know that it's a big deal to carry around a cellular device if you can make sense of it, and if you can orient yourself around that in the world. If you can, then don't bring it. Don't give up your soul's joy. Don't give up all your power just to have a little bit of convenience in your pocket. Not to mention the radiation in your pocket, decreasing bone density, affecting sperm count, affecting your cells, etc. So how much do we give for the sake of convenience, or we could refer to it as comfort? There's a Khalil Gibran quote, verily I say to you, the lust for comfort murders the passions of the soul and walks grinning through the funeral. And that's really what it is. Like, every time you adopt a little bit of something that's more convenient than the way you used to do it, you lose something as well. I like to write on a vintage typewriter, for instance. It's not a panacea for all focus problems. However, I will say that it's a little bit harder. And in this noticing hardness, like it's more difficult, the writing is better because I need to work for it more. I always thought photography was a little I mean, I know it's an art form. I was a painter because I was thinking, painting, you need to work, you need to earn, you need to layer up, you need to build an image, you need to earn the passage to the final product. And digital photography is even more. Take 1,000 pictures, choose the best one. And that's okay. Just remember that thing where every time you fall out of the influence of one thing, you fall under the influence of another. And every time something's digitized, there's another influence that's kind of unspoken, as Rudolf Steiner referred to the Ahrimanic influence, and that's what that is. So if you're communicating digitally versus in person, they're completely different worlds, completely different people you're focusing on, completely different self you're bringing to the table, a whole gamut of distortions between the two of you, or the three of you, or the many of you. So remember to slow down each day and reflect upon your life. And that's the only way we can, I think, make spiritual progress. That's something what prayer creates space for, in meditation and those sorts of things. Because people are in a rush to accumulate experiences, and then they lay on their deathbed and they're like, oh, they're just like, so much happened, I don't even know what's going on. So I'm more I travel occasionally. I go back and write about it. I process it. I broke my neck years ago. I've processed it so many times from many angles. And every time I go back through it, I learn more about myself and the world and my philosophy and history and the medical establishment and natural healing. So every time we go back through, the fodder for your own life story is in your own life story. So every time you go back through and analyze it, like great novels are great novels, and even semi-autobiographical novels, because the author's going into themselves, seeing themselves objectively, and I think that's one of the keys, because you get a higher vantage point. You see yourself objectively, and you can begin to clarify where you are, where you've been, where you're going. And if people don't do that, they just run from place to place and adopt the mantras of the society. And that's not what I want for myself. It's not what I want for my kids. It's not what I want for you. I want you to be free and fully sovereign. People like that too, they get swept away by any emotion. Like I saw a post today, someone posted, brown rice is healthy, it lowers blood sugar. And this lady was like, this post makes me so sad. I'm a dietitian, and I know one should only eat meat. Okay. There's all kinds of theories in that post, but like, if you have your litany of distraction machine on all day, and then a post comes up about some random food, you're sad now. So your sovereignty is thrown out the effing window. Like, or else she's just saying that, in which case, every time you lie, you erode your truth faculty. So either lie less, or don't be saddened by random stuff, or turn off your notifications. If you're saddened by a post about nutrition, then don't look at those, in all seriousness. Because to be joyous is the human birthright, and you and I deserve that. I see people all the time walking around moping, what happened? Oh, there's an earthquake in this place. Okay, how'd you learn about that? It's all on my Twitter. So get off your damn Twitter. Like, we can know the world, but like, can you sacrifice days and days and days and years in a row to keep tabs on every tragedy in the universe? I mean, you can. Do you want to? Because what does that aid the situation? The collective suffering flows all toward this one event, and unless you can tangibly make a difference, and I don't think you can. Most people, that thing about focusing on one thing until you've mastered it, most people can't even make a positive change in their own life, and they're going around like, I want to change the world over there. So you know where to start, right? It's like Gary Snyder said, if you want to learn about nature, start in your own backyard. There's 40 kinds of plants out there that you don't know about. You're dreaming of going to Yosemite and memorizing different kinds of redwoods or spruces or something that you'll never necessarily see again. So the world is so rich and beautiful. It's profound in the way that we interact with it. It's like nothing we've ever conceived of or thought about. The deeper and the more slowly you go into it. I go on night walks. Murakami, the novelist, goes on long walks to come up with his writing. So did Thoreau and Nietzsche and all these other luminaries. Like, because a walk gets you out of your just purely intellectual capacities into the more spiritual realms. Walt Whitman, there's all these like prodigious walkers, and he has this poem how he's leaning and loafing in the grass, just doing nothing. That's what we need to do more. We're like lured into this idea of productivity and Andrew Tate. Like, I wake up at 5. There's always that idea that there's always a bigger boat. There's always a bigger fish. There's always someone that's going to wake up earlier than you. They're going to be more productive than you, but only for a while, right? Like I read someone woke up at 5, and then someone else woke up at 4, and then I was reading about Trump, and he woke up at 3. So it's like someone always wakes up at some time. It doesn't really matter how many hours there are in the day for you if they're wasted. Like, does it matter if you wake up earlier to scroll Twitter for 3 more hours? So I'm not sure. I don't believe that's the case. So this is a kind of call to being alive. I'm looking at the sun setting now, very profound and beautiful. I sometimes am reminded of the beauty of the human race whenever I see the sun, even though it's decked with all kinds of strange looking clouds. Nothing can dim my love of humanity and of the world. And this is a positive end note for that, for the message today. So follow, subscribe. I talk about the awakening of humans and the rapture protocol and enlightenment and healing. So I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thank you so much.